Are we here? Okay, we're here. So you got it. It's good. I hit it, but I hit the button before we started. Weird. Anyway, Kiki and I are very concerned that we aren't seeing a Quindy in our chat, so our usual intro has now been derailed. Hello, welcome back to the Friday edition of Reaper Pro Tips with me and giant-headed Kiki with noms and paws. And I'm not seeing any Quindy. But hopefully Justin or John is here to kind of, hold the legions in check. But maybe not. Maybe we're just flying solo today. Obviously I'm on. So yeah. Hey, little Keeks. You are really putting your paws like all in one spot on my leg. And it's like all of her weight pinpointed in one area. Okay, get down. Get down, you little nibbler. Hi, Nibbly. Hi, Nibbly. Nibbly, you've got stuff in your fur. I found a burr. What is Daddy letting you put your head in the morning on your walk? That's ridiculous. You've got mung in your fur. She's like, it's my job to collect mung. To collect mung. Arrowiz, thank you for the resub. 41 months. Am I going to have to kick you out, Keeks, or are you going to be a good girl? Are you going to be good? Yeah. Yes, you're going to be good. There's a licking. Thanks. Thanks for the kiss. All right. We got to work now. And you kind of messed up my screen yesterday, Bubba. That's okay. No. Go settle. No nibbles on Mom. Go settle. Little dingo. Such a little dingo. Such a dingo. She was kind of dingo-y this morning. She was very dingo-y last night. She is way too smart for her own good, though. She's like, I can run around the yard all last night and not poop for Mama, making Mama go into a tizzy. And then this morning, Daddy goes, we are not going on our walk until you poop. And so I poop. She is, honestly, that is how it happened. He's like, we're not going on our walk until you poop. And so she's like, oh, all right. She is too smart. This is the thing with Shilohs. Too smart. Way too smart. All right. But that's why I like them. Because they have that intuitiveness about them and their brains are big and they learn English. Alrighty. So yeah, Quindy is absentee. I'm going to assume that we have somebody else doing the show unless Quindy pops her head in because she's just busy. But I miss my Quindy already. Dang it. So I'm just looking here. So we're going to be working on, we're finishing up the base on Sophie. It's just going to be adding some bits of plant life and vegetation to the base. It's always a good idea to do this. Essentially, the more personality you can give the base, the more you're going to give a feeling of, you're bringing your bully stick? Good girl! Yeah, you can be here and chew that. That's fine. You've never done that before. If you want to, you can. I'll move this out of your way, okay? Good girl. But yeah, the more sense of like specific details, like these broken cobblestones here that I kept in, the more specific details you can give on a base, the more of a feel you're giving the people looking at it, like that this is a specific place, right? Which always helps to be able to like kind of give it like a more personality. Because doing a generic sand and gravel or even a crumbled gravel base like this mostly started out being, it is very generic, right? It's cool and all, but it's not really like, it's not giving us much. The other thing I want to say is that I've always felt like having both inorganic, even though stone is organic, but you get my feeling here, both non-living and living matter on a base gives it a personality. Like I find the more different types of stuff I put on a base, the better the base turns out. So like if it's just stone and dirt, then it's going to be really generic. If I add plant life, very, more specific, more interesting plant life, then suddenly the base perks up a bit and it's got more personality. If I add a water feature, that's even better because water suggests motion, and motion, adding that suggestion of motion to your base is always something that looks pretty cool, right? If you can manage it. Things like that. So adding like a little bit of specific battlefield terrain, or like broken swords, broken shields, things like that. That also helps to give, you know, especially for a base like this, if I had something like that, if I had a bits box, which I don't right now, but, you know, if you had a sprue of weapons, that's what those weapon sprues are good for. Like, I never actually used them for weapon swaps. I use them for broken weapons in terrain and battlefield terrain. Because a lot of the times when we're painting, we are painting something like that. We could easily, like, put a piece of debris from a past battle. So, no time for both. Thank you. Oh, you are almost 3 months away from the quadruple sub-anniversary. And making me sing. Where did my dog go? Now I'm sus. Hold on. Sus pup. Oh, you're there. Okay, but don't be messing around with that stuff. It's Mama's writing stuff. You can take your bully. You should take your bully. Yeah. Remember you had that? You were gonna chew it? What a ridiculous dog. So ridiculous dog. So anyway, that's why I definitely go for plant life on the bases, even jumbled up rubble ones like this. The more plant life you put, and the more growing plant life you put, the more it'll seem like this is an old ruin, right? Because there's plants growing. So not so much with little bits of grass, but if there's anything more substantial, like if we were going to use some of our cool moss plantlets here, that will give us more of that kind of feeling. Hold on, let me grab some of these little plantlets out of here. Tiny little plantlets. A lot of these are pretty big and I may not use them. These are just strands of moss that we can pull off. The bottom of these actually makes a great base for, there we go. I like a tuft of grass if we are to cut off this stalky part. Makes a pretty good grass tuft, so I think I'll do that. Where is my scissors? This scissors will work. And then I can still use the top for kind of a frond of flowing in the wind kind of plant. This is just stuff that David picked up on hikes. There we go. So that looks pretty good for a twisted bit of plant life. And the great thing is it's got a little stalk at the end, so you can just plug it in. Find a good place where it does plug in. Make sure that it's kind of in scale with what you want. I think maybe I have a puppy hair adhering to this. So that blocks her foot, so it's not optimal. But it is a good place, a deep place to put it. I don't think I really like it there. It's too close. I need it like to be somewhere a little bit away. It may not be a good spot for this one. I may just have to go with grass. We'll see. We'll put it on the back in this little fissure here. That's a little better. Then it serves more as a backing kind of thing. Let me see, where's my... Thought I had some extra glue down here. One second. Where did I put my extra glue? Dang it. I know I ordered a bunch of extra glue, and I don't know where I stuffed it, which is really annoying. So I'll have to go in the other room and fetch my my Zap-A-Gap because I do not have glue. I was using it in there the other night. So one second while I get my glue and we can continue with this. Good girl. No, you can stay. You can chew on your bully. Mom needs glue. Yeah, Mama needs glue. Yeah? Does Mama need glue? Does she? Yes. Or maybe I gave David all my glues for traveling. Because, you know, if you're going to travel with super glue, you should always bring an unopened bottle. You can fly with that in your luggage, actually. In your checked bag. But then once it's open, you have to kind of just gift it to somebody who's local. That is, which sometimes I do at cons. You always find somebody who will use an extra bottle of super glue. Alrighty, let's see here. I want a pincher. Hemostat! Hemostat to the rescue! Come here, Hemostat. Get it. Ah. Patients advised when working with... Yeah. I kind of feel like that's okay. I can use some smaller grass in the front. There's just not a great piece for... a great place for this big piece, except this fissure here that I left in the stone, which is a logical place for stuff to grow out of, so we'll just do that. Yeah, I need a new bottle of super glue. This is definitely getting old. I think I need to start ordering it in smaller bottles. Ah. There we go. It'll sit itself kind of in there. I can sit it down here while it dries. Nice thing about putting it in that fissure at the back of the base is that it there really isn't any glue on the outside of that, so there's very little to touch up. But now I need something smaller to put in the front of the base, something shorter. I think I see something that I can work. Now the cool thing about these frondy moss bits is that often their fur goes in one particular direction or the other. So if you have one like this, you can actually lie it on its side and it'll look like grass is kind of growing up. So I've got this piece of just kind of crack in this front of this base. And I'm wondering if I can put the grass into this crack, kind of lay it down, have it look like grass or a vine that's growing out of this crack in the base in the front. And that will give us something that's different. Oh, grats, Agent Marvel, grats. I hope it's like really, like, I hope you really like the house. I hope you are super happy. Maybe I'll push it up a little bit, trail it out. So anyway, when you are, if you are a hiker or somebody who gets out and about in your own neighborhood, keep an eye out for little bits of plant vegetation. Most of the time they're going to be just fine if you just sit them and let them dry, like in the sun in a box. But if you do see any like bugs and stuff, you know, you can always try to, if you're concerned about parasites, you can always dry some stuff in the oven. There are directions online you can look up. All right, I'm going to glue this. I think I'm going to do a blob of glue. I'm trying to trace it down. So I want it to go up here. A blob of glue. Then we're going to take our pokey tool, our ever handy pokey tool, and pull that glue down into this crack a little bit. And I think I want a little bit of glue out here in this crevice. There. All right. Now we're going to grab our little plant and put it where we want it. And grab our, you can either do a pokey tool or our hemostat or some other like thing that you can kind of push down, kind of crunch this plant into this crevice a little bit. So let's see here. The problem is I want the fronds to be pointing up, so I need to kind of be careful on how I scrunch it. But if the fronds aren't quite up, I can play with them after they're set. Right now I just need to press it down until it glues. Hello, Dogfather. can blow on it a little bit. With this kind of thing, I wouldn't use zip kicker or anything like that, accelerator, because it's going to make that frosty kind of crystallized look. That's a problem with super glue accelerators. So that's going to necessitate you repainting because it'll crackle. It'll make the super glue spread and kind of crackle up the sides of stuff. And that's like not ideal. There we go. There. Now we have a nice little fringe of plant life. Yay! And once I paint it, it'll stand up much nicer. Then I just need maybe a little piece over here. This is a little tuft. I like these little tufts. They're cute. This tuft could go over here. Okay, this tuft could go over here if it would obey. There. Kind of like do that. Yeah, I like that. And maybe a tiny bit of something on the other side. But yeah, cool, cool, cool. You can use static grass for this. You can use the long field grass for this. It's just if you can find these little like moss kind of things, like you could use lichen if you trim it. Like lichen but the problem with lichen is it gets very brittle. You definitely want to coat it with like white glue to kind of help with that, because it'll kind of put a rubbery texture over the outside of it. It'll be less likely to disintegrate. Get our little tuft. Once again, I'm going to press it down into the glue and hold it. So that it goes into that crevice like it's growing out of it. Yeah, dried plant roots, anything like that really. And like I said, a lot of it won't be bug infested, but you can put it in a box outside, let it dry in the sun, kind of look at the box. You'll see if there are bugs usually. If you're really worried about it with stuff like big pieces of bark, which is fair, you could dry those in an oven. You can look for instructions online on how to do it. There we go. All sorts of cool fringy plant things. And then I think I need one more little tiny bit over here somewhere. Growing out of there. I could use a regular static grass for that. Looking around at my stuff to see if I've got something suitable in this bunch of little moss bits. I don't want very much. I might just do grass for this. Where are my grass tufts? Grass tufts. Let's yeah. My favorite grass tuft is the wasteland tuft as far as the color goes. This one. It's really, really dark green with lighter colored ends, which is perfect for my uses because I really want something that is dark, but then I'm going to dry brush it anyway, so the color of the ends doesn't matter. Let's see here. It's a tangled mass of something. I'm kind of throwing some stuff together. So I'm grabbing a tuft and then reaching for these little bits of plant life that I've got and jumbled crap that are essentially the roots of these little moss bits, because we have some of that too. You can see like that piece of stuff that's pulled off the end there. That's a bit more crumbly. Could be more interesting. I want that tuft of grass. So I like using grass tufts in tandem with other things, and I also like to take these and push them into the cracks just like I did the other plant life. Yes, I agree, Thormel. I agree. Meetings, meetings, meetings. Poor hamsters. Who knew? Like, it's like the hamster wheel. You are on an eternal hamster wheel of meetings, Crowley. I hope you get well paid for sitting there and listening to people jaw all day. Oh, hey, I need you guys to talk. Hey, sibling, how's it going? I need you people to talk because we're about to start painting this model after I finish this basing, which is going to be before the end of this stream. So she's a wood elf, obviously, from her little leafy thingy thing, and we're going to do a leaf pattern on the back of her cloak because I've been wanting to do that for a while. But I need to know what skin color we should choose for a wood elf. I'm going to ask you guys. Because why not? I'm not terribly sold on one thing or another. I can adjust my color scheme no matter what we do. So, while I find some glue to smush this grass and root matter into this crack, think about it, won't y'all? And talk in chat. We don't have a Quindy, so we can't have a poll. I'm so sad. I miss my Quindy. I'm going to say no on the dark brown Thormel because we did that with Lizette. I don't want to do the same color scheme we did on Lizette. So if you're going to say deep brown, you have to say an actual paint color or something like that. But I don't want to do another dark-skinned wood elf. Like, I'm okay with brown skin, but not like a really dark brown. Because I just don't want to do that again. It makes problems, and I typically don't do it. The reason it makes problems, if you read my color composition PDF on the Patreon, you know, because then you have to move your light colors around to try to compensate for that dark skin tone to draw attention to it. Or you need to punch up the highlights a lot. Punching up the highlights a lot is a lot easier on a bigger model. I'm grabbing this chunk of static grass and I'm just trying to stuff it into this. But I've got too much of it. The good thing about grass tufts is that you can pull them apart though. And then you can smoosh them a little bit more to get them in there. Smoosh, smoosh. And then I want some plant matter. Oh, crows, sorry. No link. But Miley is a pale skin. Very pale, isn't she? So you want a very pale skin, which is weird. Well, not weird, but it's very different from what other people are suggesting. Does anybody know what wood elves back in the olden days of D&D, when there were wood elves? Does anybody remember what the skin tone was supposed to be? According to canon? While I play around with this plant life and smush things into my base. Is Miley bronze? For some reason I thought she was really pale, but maybe I'm remembering the wrong character probably. I was thinking of the sorceress. We can try a bronzy skin tone. All right, I like that. That's a bit better. Take away any extraneous static grass fronds. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to leave that empty. But now I'm to the point where I don't really like my bush sticking up in the back, but that's fine. I can take it out. It's the easiest thing ever to rip plant life off cork. Yeah, I like this better without the bush. So we're going to save the bush for a different time. Still got a little bit of the matter coming out of the crack there, which is fine. All right, I think I like this better. So cool. Coppery, huh? Coppery could be interesting. Coppery could be really interesting, actually. How do you guys feel about that? Coppery skin. And I mean, we would probably actually use tarnished copper in the recipe. What do you think? are identified by their coppery skin. That gives you guys, we can start with we can shade with browns for sure, but then I want to bring it up a bit. Yeah, I just, you know, I just looking for ideas until something hits that sounds fun. But yeah, I didn't want to do another Lizette. Lizette was very difficult to actually pull attention to her face. Really, really difficult. Dark skin on 28s can be a challenge for that reason. When you are working on a larger model, it's very easy to punch your highlights up and still keep a lot of the skin dark. And you've got more room to suggest different colors and different kind of shades and stuff like that, which can make it more interesting so they can still pull the eye to the face. But on a tiny little 28, dark skin is really hard to suggest an expression or anything like that. So I kind of dislike it on this scale of model. All right, let's just do a quick dry brush on this plant life. I think I want some brown to take it down. Yeah, but I'm persnickety. Bull, I like these things to look good by my eyes. It's only paint, but at the same time, I hate to repaint on stream. I mean, I do it if I really, really hate what we're doing, but I've done it very little. I'm going to use Shield Brown and Creamy Ivory and a touch of a green. Touch of Ancient Oak for these plants. Too late, Pendrake, too late. I'm overruling the monster manual. Fair skin's too easy. Okay, here's another one for you. Do we want a brighter, more saturated color scheme on this one, or do we want to go more muted with her? You could go either way. Let me see. I need where's my synthetic brush? Synthetic brush, where are you? Synthetic brush. There you are. Coppery, Agent Marvel. We're going to do a coppery skin. Even though it's supposed to be coppery hair, apparently. But, oh well. Too late. Too late. She doesn't have hair, so it's just kind of a moot point. Like, she's got a tiny bit of hair here, but it doesn't really, not really enough to count, all things considered. Okay, we'll go brighter then. Maybe I'll do my thing that I suggested the other day, where you use Ancient Oak as a base, which is very muted, but then you highlight it with Naga Green. We'll do it more saturated. We're not going to do Screaming Eyeballs bright with her, but we'll go more saturated. More on the saturated side. Bringing in some of the Shield Brown on some of this plant life. Going to knock it down and then bring it back up. Yeah, her face is not, like, super awesome. It's very, very elf. It's very kind of alien, kind of, like, almost inhuman elf. I'm going to put some Ancient Oak down at the bottom here, because I want to introduce a little bit of green somewhere, but I don't want it to be too prevalent, so I'll use a muted green, and I'll use it down toward the bottoms of things. I'm going to take this Ancient Oak and put some of it back here on my static grass as well. Remember, always paint your basing, folks. Don't listen to David or any number of other people. Ignore them. Paint your basing. Do not aggravate Anne when she looks at your model and you have not painted your basing and it looks totally out of place. Yeah, except that, I mean, you could paint plastic surgery that way, I suppose, Richard. But then you lose, like, I don't know. Masks are cool, but you lose the humanity. I mean, she is rather inhuman, but a mask doesn't usually draw the eye as much as an actual face. Though you have a good point. You could absolutely paint it like a mask. You would just need to put lines around between the hair and the skin, like pretty stark lines to suggest that. And you'd have to paint the eye holes as eye holes, but that means if you don't like painting eyes, you could totally avoid painting eyes, which is, you know, a pro for some people. Win. But then it does. You do miss out on the skin. Then if you're depending on your skin color to balance out a part of your color scheme. And I reserve the right to criticize the sculpt. You can do it, Agent Marvel. If you used really heavy liner and you went around this area here, and you did another line like right here at the jawline, and then you painted a very different color and you made the eyes black. But the eyes are like, you'd have to paint them black because there obviously are eyes there, right? So it isn't really a good, like, yeah, that's where it fails, because if it was really a mask, there'd be holes here, right? And there aren't. So that's where the appearance of a mask would fail. Now I'm bringing in my shield brown. I've got some green down here. You can see that dark green. Gonna bring in shield brown over here on this long plant. Using my paint full strength because I want it to adhere to the plant fibers. I want to cover up the initial. I like that fringe of wild grass though. That turned out really well. But yeah, you want to cover up the original color as much as you can. But yeah, I like the idea of copper skin. That could be fun. We'll have to figure out what to highlight it with to make it still look like skin. And that's a fun challenge, so yay. Man, speaking of challenges, I totally almost rage quit Diablo last night. There comes a point when I'm playing a game, and I always play on easy mode because I'm mostly in it for the story and just like having fun, like destroying hordes of tiny monsters. But they're like, I am at a certain level and I have like a certain build. Let's just say that Druid is really, really challenging in Diablo. Like it's kind of a finesse class, sadly, and I didn't know that until after I had picked it and put 20 levels into it. And that means it's not really meant for face-rolling enemies, and it's kind of titchy. And a lot of the builds require you to be good at movement, which I am not. So there was a dungeon, let's just say, that made me absolutely frustrated. So much so that David came over and hovered concernedly at my shoulder. While I cussed at the screen and informed it that it was wasting my time and why do I even play this stupid game? Because I'm on easy mode, folks. I'm on easy mode. Playing it on easy mode. Quote unquote. And the stupid thing was, it wasn't even the dungeon itself. It was a ridiculous event that I ran into in the dungeon that was actually harder than the dungeon itself. Random event popping up. It's just very annoying. Just annoying. Yeah, I don't know. You know, I like Overwatch. Even when I'm getting destroyed in Overwatch, at least I can tell that I'm playing well. I know my characters, you know, I know what the class is supposed to do. If I fail, it's usually, you know, a human error that I just made the wrong move at a certain time, or the enemy, you know, Widowmaker was just too good or whatever. But games like Diablo, where I'm just up against, you know, my character is just not bulky enough to handle all these elite mobs, like swarming her, and I can't get out because I'm not great, and I don't have great reactions necessarily in the game. I don't have fast reactions. It's not really the type of game I normally play. I just feel like I'm having a very hard time finding a build that I like, and so I swapped things last night, and I liked it better, but I'm still dissatisfied with my choice. I'm sad because I wanted to play a werewolf. And then the werewolf wasn't as good, so I switched to a storm druid. And then the storm druid was having problems, so now I've swapped to kind of storm and air. Or storm and earth. Yeah, it's just very annoying. I recommend playing something else if you play Diablo 4. Let's just put it that way. Unless you're the kind of person who likes to just like titch and titch and titch and figure out your build. Crows, most of the models on Ron's desk are actually not painted. I say that just, you know, it's a guess based on past knowledge. I have not decided if I'm giving this one to Ron. I normally bring at least 4 or 5 models for Ron at ReaperCon. Turning these models into Reaper is not actually part of my, you know, like I don't have to do it. I can keep them if I want. I could even sell them if I want. But I do it anyway because Reaper takes good care of me and always has over the years. So I mixed, by the way, some creamy ivory with my shield brown to make this color. And that's the first highlight, and then I'll come back in with maybe some cairnstone. Cairnstone's a good top highlight for a plant life that's kind of dead or prickly. That's funny, Kichara. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm not sure. I mean, eventually they end up in the gallery. They probably live somewhere where they're supposed to be photographed for a while, and then they may or may not get photographed, and then they go to the gallery. It depends. So bringing up the plant life again with just a little bit of paint, making it stand out a little bit more, making it look all prickly. Cairnstone. Sorry. Yeah, you could use an off-white to highlight it. You could use really any yellowish kind of off-white works. All right, now we need our off-white. So yeah, you could use bleached linen. You could use cairnstone. I just have cairnstone on my table, so I'm going to use it. Just a touch of it. Then I'm going to be grumpy that my palette is full of paint that I'm not going to use on my next model. I always like to start with a fresh palette, and so it's annoying to me when I can't. One of my weird painting idiosyncrasies. So the cairnstone. Should just go and get some of these ends. It's very pale. It'll make them stand out. And I don't put it everywhere. I'm mostly just trying to get some of the outer areas. Just a little bit of extra light. Makes the strands stick out a little bit more. But yeah, so I haven't decided which models will go to Ron this year. And if I lose a bit of like some of the colors because I dab a little too much with my white, then I can bring in my green again or my brown and just take it down a little bit more. There we go. Let's back up. There. Now the vegetation is there without being terribly distracting. And you could, but it's still part of the base. It's still good. Excellent, excellent. All right. So yeah, so the models so far, and some of the models, like the problem with models going to Ron is that they have to They have to be on basing, so like if the cleric was going to go to Ron, I'd have to base her. It's actually why Mouseling, like, and some others haven't. So currently, the ones that we have finished... Here, let's get everybody out. We'll have to finish that one. All right. Here's our rogues gallery of finished minis for the past year, plus Sophie. So this one is out because this is for Jason. So Ron's not getting that one. So I need to finish the basing, painting the basing on hers. So we'll probably do that just some random day here or there. Ones that I absolutely know are going to Ron would be Kide. So let's see here. Kide is definitely going to Ron. This guy, definitely going to Ron. I think this gal, definitely going to Ron. Probably Magelet here, definitely going to Ron. So then we're left with a bunch of models that need basing, so we may have to do that in a couple of streams coming up. Thank you, Saint Soda. This one, it was all done in 4 colors. You could go back and look at the streams for her to see it, but she is painted entirely with magenta, yellow, rogue shadow, and white. That's it. Everything on her is painted with those colors. Everything. Including the NMM. Ron always gets a nice surprise box. Ron is probably like most gracious toward me for ReaperCon. So I have not decided about Quindy's favorite mini. And since she's not on today, right? She's not lurking. Since she's not on today, y'all, this might get gifted. You know, because I'm like that. These days, I'm like that. So yeah, that might happen. So we've got a bunch of minis that we really need to get some basing on. So I need to do something with this guy, Mr. Necromancer dude. He's really bright. But I would take him and put him, give him to Ron. He's pretty cool. So the problem with him is his base is so wide, you have to put him on a bigger base. So you have to landscape it, and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do that. So that said, he's in limbo right now, waiting for basing. Yeah, we do some freehand from. I guess we haven't done freehand recently, but yeah, the fire. I wanted a stylized flame on that one. Lizana. We haven't done a lot of freehand. I mean, we've done our little tiny ones on this one, but that was a while ago. Chose not to do it on the ghost watch stalker lady. Chose not to do it on this guy because I did kind of texture instead. This guy just didn't have any room for it. Sophie didn't have room for it. Yeah, we haven't. I guess we have stopped doing freehand for the last several models. I was doing a bunch of crazy. Madasheen. Yeah, so Turgeon. You're funny. Yeah, so there we go. There's our guys. So we've been very productive this year, and technically the Mouseling will also be done, and so will Corindra. Corindra, I think I might do some freehand on her cape. I'm not sure. And Kathy should be done. Ms. Wapple should be done. She also will need a base. So we may end up doing, like, August may be all about basing. We may just come up with a whole bunch of different base concepts for models and just do them. So yeah, so that is where we are at. So we finished a lot. So we'll put Fishy back. Get up there, Fishy. We also have a model that we never finished. We made a lot of progress on him, but then I put him aside. I think we've just shifted this guy. He's almost done. Part of the adventuring party. I still kind of like him, but he's tabled kind of for now. So that one. That one. And then these guys, I'll start making a little stack. Little stack. There. Stack for Ron. Stack for Ron, stack not for Ron. We still need to finish her basing, so she stays up here. I have a lot of things cluttering up my space over here. There. Right. And then this one. And then we've got to figure out basing if we're going to give these guys to Ron. I think Noel I finished last year, but I liked him and I keep him around. Because I like his color scheme because it's a split tertiary. Or it's a tertiary color scheme, which is fun. And I like Mouseling, and I thought actually if I finished a base for Mouseling, I would probably sell him. So yeah, those guys all need something. Basing, something. Oh, bye, Crowley. Enjoy your hamster wheeled meetings. Or try to live through them at least. It's almost Saturday. That one went to Ron already. Agent Marvel. So it's been 2 years. 2 years since the Catfolk. Like, he went to Ron right at the... We finished him right before ReaperCon last year, I think. I sent him to Ron with David. So yeah. So there we go. There we go. We have... Now I need to sign it. So Ron might get the Sophie. I mean, he's got Rhonda's version already, so it's not like he needs mine. Get some Cairn Stone and add a little water to it, just a little. I usually sign the underside with whatever paint I finished off using. But yeah, we've done a pretty good mixture of stuff, though. Maybe we'll do another Catfolk at some point. The Catfolk Paladin, yeah, the Catfolk Paladin went to Ron last year, as did the Catfolk Rogue. Well, then, if you're on the Patreon, that's where to be, because I usually put them up for really inexpensive. Like, considering that I usually charge at least $250, I put them up on the Patreon between $100 and $150. Now, it is an auction, so they can go higher, but usually people aren't that interested. That's actually why I haven't put up more for sale, is that usually it seems like I only get 1 or 2 people who are really interested in it. So I'm like, all right, maybe people just don't want to own painted minis. maybe that's not why they're here. Yeah, well, keep in mind, like, this is, I actually also painted Anubis, but that's my own time painting is much more limited than my stream painting, because most of the time David, like, we paint together sometimes when it's, especially when it's leading up to a con and he has to get stuff done, but he was painting all the way up to Adepticon, and then he took a long break to play games. Like, those are the two things that David does. It's like he's either working on focusing on his painting, or he's playing video games. And he likes to do whichever one he's into, he likes to do with me. So if he's into a video game, and I knew when Diablo hit, I had over 2 years of warning that when Diablo 4 hit, honestly, this was one of the things he told me before we got married, that I would be a widow. I decided to play it, so, you know, not a big deal. Right, exactly. Especially when you're tight on cash, then $100 to $200 for a mini is a huge splurge, right? I totally get it. But at the same time, considering the amount of time I spend on minis, I'm not going to sell them for less. I already get yelled at for selling my minis for $250 when Marika yelled at me for this. She's like, you need to sell for at least $400 with your rep. Oh, I was complaining about it, Bill, a moment ago. I almost rage quit it last night. Because I'm not like great at computer games. And even though I'm playing on easy mode, the easiest mode anyway, the game really frustrated me last night. But I probably picked the wrong class. I probably should have picked Sorcerer. But I wanted to play a werewolf, so I picked Druid instead. And Druid is just kind of a persnickety class. All right, there we are. We are signed. We are sealed. We are good. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, I don't expect people to, like, put aside, like, you know, I mean, there's all, you could buy one mini for me, or you can buy yourself a heck of a lot of unpainted figures to, like, fund your hobby. So I get it. Don't make no mistake. That's why I just don't sell them anymore. Like, I'm just like, I feel like when I sell them, in order to make it accessible to people who really want them, I need to price them down. But as an artist, when you price your work too far down, you start feeling bad about it. You, like, kind of feel kind of bad if you don't, like, it's hard to define, but it's definitely a feels. It's definitely a feels for an artist or a writer, for that matter, when you feel like you don't get paid as much as you feel like the work is worth. And so for me, the solution then, if it's going to make me sad, is just to not sell them, because I don't need to. You know, but Bill, if it was that, like, I would just play Path of Exile. The problem is that David introduced me to Path of Exile, and so I'm continually comparing Diablo to Poe. And although Poe has a lot of, like, math and like very elaborate, like, builds, it's real easy to go out into, like, just the community and find a good build and just copy their build. Like, they make it super easy for you to try a build that somebody else has already tested. So for me, I find it, I don't know, I can kill things so much faster and it's gratifying. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just that I'm having trouble with Druid because David has a rogue at 60 and a sorceress at 30, and he's having no problems. It could just be that he's better at dodging. But I mean, so as far as they go, my jury's still out because I know that a lot of times the builds don't get really going until you get a lot higher level than I am. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to take it to 50 or 60. I'm going to hit, like, kind of end game kind of stuff. And then I'm going to make my decision over whether I like Diablo. Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, my problem with ESO is none of my friends played, and I hate rando groups. I hate pugging. And I felt like I couldn't experience a large part of the content if I didn't group. So I couldn't solo. That is my problem with most MMOs. WoW at least makes it very easy to find groups. But it's just not as fun. Yeah, see, and that's what I should have done, Bill, is I should have gone Barbarian. And I thought about it, knowing me, because I do like to kind of face roll everything. I like to face roll my way through. But I just liked the Druid. I wanted to be a werewolf, what can I say? Then the werewolf proved not very good, or at least not good in the way that I like to play, which is the sad, right? It's like I started playing Overwatch because I loved Hanzo, and I'm so bad at Hanzo that I can never play him. It's the sad. So I needed up my blue stuff here, and we're going to pop this lady up here. I also threw a lot of water into my basing paints. When I'm doing like paints for basing, I leave them very thick, but I always remember to add a lot of water around the outside of them, especially after I'm done with them, because I want to make it easy cleanup. So if you use a well palette like this and you're done with the color, throw a bunch of water into it and kind of like run it around the edge and everything, and it'll make the paint thinner and it'll make it easier to clean up. Well, see, Druid is fun. Werewolf was fun. It just got harder and harder because it's not a very AE build. I chose wolves instead of ravens, but it's still it was still feeling like it just wasn't killing things fast enough. It took forever to go through packs as a werewolf. And bear, I'm using a bear skill right now that's really good. So I have a bear skill on my bar still because trample is really good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, bear is tanky. That's for sure. But I don't know if it's damagey tanky, right? A lot of these builds look like fun, but for me, it stops being fun when I'm struggling with content. So much as I loved Werewolf, I found that I was struggling with content, and I had to, I decided to switch. See, and I didn't, Matt. I want the option. Like, ideally, I want the option to go a little bit slimmer or a little bit bigger, and I want that kind of slider. But that is entirely because I lost so much weight. And so for me, having to play like a really big character is actually a little bit triggering. Just a little. Yeah, I wish you could customize more on all characters with body frame. That was my wish, Matt. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah, you can switch it. You can always switch, Phil. I wonder if that's the thing. I wonder if I'm just not getting better drops, and because David's like, well, what is your gear like? And I'm like, I don't know. I only just got to the point where I'm like getting a ton of rares in my gear drops. So I have no idea, and I have a few legendaries, but all right, let us find we're gonna do copper, right? Well, I've got a little bit of a mold line, I think, along her jawline. But yeah, I'm okay with my female druid. She's okay. I wonder how many women play Diablo 4. I bet it's a vast majority, guys. Just from David's like Discord that he's on. He's got most of David's friends on his Discord are actually from Diablo, like Diablo 3, because he used to be just like obsessed with it. These are all men. I haven't heard a single woman. As opposed to his WoW guild, which has a lot of women in it. Then I gotta get this out. There's a little bit of roughness here. I always do like a cursory clean before I wash these, and I always miss so much. Because it's only when I'm sitting down to paint that I'm looking at the model so close. I should have gotten this before, though. That should have stuck out like a sore thumb. So we're going to start with, I'm going to get the copper, tarnished copper, which I think is over in my paint box. So I'll have to grab it. And even though these mold lines are on the bottom of an area and I'm going to paint them dark anyway, I'm still going to tackle them. I don't want to leave them. But I'm not going to tackle them with any real delicacy. I'm just going to slice them off. But we'll grab the tarnished copper and we're going to see how we can alter it just a little to make it more of a skin tone. We also could use something like Shawanti Sienna, which is a Pathfinder skin color, which is very red. So I'll get that out and I'll get the tarnished copper out and we can talk about how you would adapt those colors. Yeah, women play like I used to play, but they don't necessarily play competitively, right? And that's not that women aren't competitive, but it's not as encouraged, which is stupid backward thinking, but you know. I do actually have a competitive side, but I don't like my competitive side very much, so I've played it down over the years. But it's there. But yeah, so often what we're seeing is just a difference between like the competitive side of the game and the just for fun side of the game. Because I mean, the thing about I know I used to know several girls who played Magic, and they mostly played because they loved how beautiful the cards were, and they could build these really cool flavor decks, and they would do that. Yeah. Yeah, I played WoW for a long time, Lisana, also, and I just, like, fell out of it at some point after, like, being really into it for, like, a decade. I was just like, okay, I'm done. It was kind of a mental shift for me because at heart, I'm a maker, and I like to be able to have something to show for all the time that I put into things. So for me, stuff like video gaming and even like television, watching TV shows, it dissatisfies me because I have nothing to show for it. There is a part of me that always likes to see, I like to be able to hold something in my hand after I put a lot of work into it, a lot of hours. And I'm not drawn anymore to things that just are escape. The only time that you'll see me get totally sucked into a video game is if I'm not happy for some reason, and then I'm just like, then it's just escapism until I figure out why I'm not happy. But for a lot of the time I was addicted to WoW, I was not a very happy person. So, and then I find the same cycle these days. Got a little bit of a thing here. Yeah, it is more about the hanging out, right? It's more about the people. That's different, and that makes it different. Makes a difference. My guild kind of broke up, so there was really no reason I'd stay in. But yeah, I find it, I don't know, I went back for Dragonflight, but it's still just WoW. And the writing had gotten so bad. Like, the good thing about Diablo is the writing is really good so far. Like, the story is really good. Trying to get at that little piece of mold line. It is difficult. There we go. At some point you gotta live, exactly. Yep, on the nose. Yeah, Madashine, that's really it. Guys don't like it when you get competitive with them. Some guys. Some guys do. But yeah, it is like, it is really weird, isn't it? all these cultural artifacts. We say that we've come so far, and yet there still are things that we have not. But that's political, so let's not talk about that. Let's not get Anne on a soapbox. I get grumpy about some of that thing. That's why I have always. I think that's why I'm happy to be in male-dominated industries. Because I'm like, oh, you don't think I can do this? I can do this. I think there are several sports that technically women could be competitive against men, Pendrake. But yeah. I'm just gonna get. All right, there we go. I think we're good. Oh, one little extra mold line, because, you know, extra mold lines are where it's at. Yeah, exactly, Thormel. There are just a lot of sports that it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be separate. Alrighty, little tiny bit of flash that just does not want to come off there. I'm gonna scrape it with my knife. I have to wonder if there aren't some sports like volleyball that couldn't be played perfectly well co-ed. Like, why not have co-ed teams in volleyball? Why not? Why not have both women and men on your team? I don't understand. But, you know, it is what it is. Right, Papa? What do you think, Papa? What do you think? She's like, I don't know. I think it's like almost time. This is Bones USA. It's not a great, like, files are never going to be good on plastic, like softer plastic, but I will use it to kind of break up if there's a big, like, bit of flash, Bill. I'll use it to break up and grind it down, and then I'll use my knife to kind of pluck those little bits off, little bits of remaining plastic, little nubbins. Although I have tried, I've thought lately about trying wet filing, because it might work a little better, but then we'd be getting the model all wet and we'd have to wait. So I use the nose of the file sometimes to take off little bits like that, and that took that off. Yeah, but the big competitive stuff isn't co-ed, I bet, Pendrake. Yeah. Yep. Curling should not be divided into women and men. Anybody can, like, polish ice really fast. Alrighty, cool. Yeah, I think we're good. So I've got a little bit of time. Let's grab that Shawanti Sienna. I know that I have it out here. This is an interesting color. It's a really good sunburn color, but it might also serve us in being a coppery skin color if we can bring it up with something that is more orangey. Just kind of looking around in my colors to see if I can find anything that might be fun. All right, I'm gonna go and see if I can lay hands on my tarnished copper really fast, then I'll grab it. I think it might be right here. Okay, so I've got some options here. We've got our actual copper triad, if you will, which we could try mixing together our tarnished copper and new copper and get something that could be a base for skin. We could also use the Shawanti Sienna, mix a little bit of orange into it and go up with youthful flesh and white. What do you guys think? I'd do either one or the other. I wouldn't cross the streams here. Shawanti is kind of like a lighter version of tarnished copper. You can see that. The tarnished copper is a lot more orange, and this highlight would be more pink, so we'd probably bring it up with this at the end. But it's either these two colors, or these two colors. To try to do skin. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah, well these are fish, right? So okay, let's use these. Yeah, we did use the others on fish a lot, so we'll try with these. So I've got Shawanti Sienna, I've got orange brown, we're gonna use just a touch of that, and then youthful flesh. So we'll start with the sienna. We'll start with the shadow. And then we'll work up from that, and then we'll see if we need more shadows. I have a lot of stuff cluttering up my table here. Pardon me while I clear up a little. There we go. Oakley dokley. Alrighty. Well, that's good, because I put Shawanti Sienna in my box because I wanted to use it at some point. This will also grow great with greens because it is very reddish. I don't want to look at her close. I think her hands are bare. She's got armor. I can't really tell if she has a shirt. Oh, but I'm seeing even more mold lines. Jeez, model. What is with this model? So many mold lines, people. So far, I'm definitely not endorsing this many as far as mold lines. There we go. Man, painful mold lines. So face, hands. She's got a hood. It's really hard to see. I think her armor comes all the way up to the hood. So she's only got face and hands as far as skin goes. It's almost certainly like just a two-piece mold, but there might be some buildups and stuff. Reaper is very good at getting a model on mold with a bunch of different, you know, alterations, like just managing to build it up where they need to. But that does sometimes create that. And I think this actually was originally a metal model. So I wonder if they had some artifacts move over from the metal, whatever metal they copied. I don't know. I don't know how they would do this. Maybe not. Maybe there's just a lot of mold lines. The thing is, if this is skin, then I need to even do more finishing work on it because it's pretty rough. Like, see, and I'm seeing a line back here that implies that this entirely is armor. So maybe, I don't know. Like, because maybe there's a little bit of skin right here. Yeah. Maybe this is just a resculpt that Bobby did for Psycast. This one definitely had a lot of mold lines. But yeah, I don't know what's involved with moving a metal model over to Psycast. Whether it would involve a resculpt or a scan or what. I'll ask Kevin when I'm at ReaperCon. The one thing about this Sienna, though, it's actually got pretty good. Like, it's going on very nice. It's very red. It's a very red color. So I got through my crazy scene yesterday, guys, on the book. So we are that much closer. Oh, mold line. Jeez! Jeez Louise. Scan, then touch-ups. Thanks, Zachariah. Yeah, I got through my dreaded chapter yesterday. And now, like, not today, I'm working on Ash's chapter. But I'm almost to the finale, guys. Like, and I do have a chapter to completely rewrite for the finale, I realized. But I'm getting really close to West of the Moon being done. I really would like it to be done before the midpoint of the month so I can let it sit for like a week and then go back and throw another editing layer on it. Yeah, Sienna's a really red undercoat, but that's good because we'll just be bringing it up a bit. I'm not being very neat on my base coat. So, okay, so you see what I mean? There's this little line here, which implies if it is skin, it's only skin here. So maybe that's part of a glove or something. So I'm going to just try to do that here and see if I like it. And then here, so that gives us a bit more skin. But yeah, I want to get this this book done. Oh, a tiny little bit of flash. I can see it stuck in the paint. But yeah, I want to get this rewrite done so I can spend a week brainstorming the next project, because July is coming, and July is Camp NaNoWriMo. So I want to brainstorm the next book. I already have kind of, I know what happens in it, but it needs more brainstorming. Always more brainstorming. I do a lot of mind mapping when I write, or before I write. Is that an earring or an ear? Kind of looks like an earring, but oh well. Yeah, I think it is an earring. Boom. Just putting an extra coat of skin on there to make it nice and solid. Want a nice solid coat. This is this has pretty good coverage, but I can still see a little bit of the gray. When it looks a little dark, you can tell that you can still see some of the gray through it. So okay, so yeah, that's a very reddish skin tone. I think we've got, pretty sure we've got pants under here. Hard to tell, lots of straps. You could probably paint her with a bare thigh here if we wanted to. But on the other side, it kind of looks like pants. So I don't think so. I think it is trousers. So I'm going to not make her pantsless. And yet another mold line. But yes, this is our starting point. This is where we are going to be at. Just got to scrape this a little bit. There's a tiny little mold line hiding on the underside of the arm. There we go. Then we can put in the rest of this. Alrighty, there we go. So you can see our skin tone from the back, and we can see our skin tone from the front. Yeah, this is not a pantsless stream. Yep. Yeah, Turgeon, I'm going to be on tomorrow. I'll be working on, now that I've got the black looking so nice on her, I'm going to be working on the red, just to bring it up that little extra punchy bit. And we may start doing the wood parquet floor on her. She's coming along really well. So yeah, so we got all that lacy stuff all figured out, and I may bring a little bit of the shinies just up the folds here a bit. And then, yeah, I just want a little bit of glittery effect on the red to kind of punch it a little bit and make it all the textures match. And then we will do the flooring, and then I just got to adjust like the hair and get the little roses. We may work on the little roses if I feel like it. But yeah, so, and I'm doing a really elaborate parquet wood floor on this base. So we'll be working on that tomorrow, but this is a model for Andy Pieper for ReaperCon this year. So yay. So excellent. No one can tell your pants status on Twitch, correct? Not unless you get up and walk out of the room far enough away that they can see you. Oh no, replacing polls. Yeah, well, fingers crossed, Turgeon. Fingers crossed. Well, Oakley, everybody. Thanks for hanging with me. I actually am going to do one little thing. I'm going to set up a skin tone card for this model, so I remember the colors that we said we were going to use. And I'm going to go, give me a swatch. Yes, indeedy, yeah. Everybody who's not really here, but kind of running the stream in the background. Shawanti. Sienna. So don't forget this color. This is both a good base if you're looking to do this kind of skin tone, or if you're looking for like a sunburn color, just to highlight it with itself. This is very good for sun and wind burned skin. Plus 9201 orange brown. And 9445 peachy skin. Okay. And there we are. So that's our card. She'll sit on top of that. We will pop her back up on the shelf. On Monday, we will be working on Karindra. She is coming. We finished her, we pushed her skin up, which was nice. I have a bit more to do on the metallic on her with the sword and the edge of the shield. We've got to figure out what heraldry we're going to put on. Although I kind of like a white bird, a white eagle. I like the thought of that. And I've got to do something with the bronze as well. The brass or bronze metallics. And we still haven't highlighted her leather. So we have a lot of different things we could work on Monday. All right? Thank you, everybody, and I hope that you will have a lovely weekend. Again, I will be streaming tomorrow around 3:30 USA p.m. USA time, Central Time, on my own channel, twitch.tv/paintingbig. All right? Come and hang out. I usually go for a couple hours. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.